Welcome to this week's episode of Ask the Experts with your host, David Williams.
My personal mission, not only in life, but here today, is simply to empower you, to empower others, to be happy. Today we have an extraordinary opportunity because we can reach about 1/8 of the world and change the world in one simple day. If I can empower you, or at least 1,000 of you today, in order to empower another 1,000 people, to empower another 1,000 people to be happy, 1,000 times 1,000 times 1,000 is 1 billion people, about 1/8 of this universe. 1/8 of the world can be empowered to be happy, and there's nothing more important in life than to be happy. And I'm going to teach through my journey lessons of happiness. It's really simple, of how to make a lot of money, help a lot of people, and have a lot of fun. My definition of happiness is really simple. It's the enjoyment of the consistent, everyday, persistent, without quit pursuit of your potential. And there's one thing that I know. Happy people don't have disease. They don't destroy, right? They don't have to, they're amazing. Happy people don't do bad things. Number one, you have to be happy to give it to other people. And if you're not feeling happy, then go ask for help. Ask for help. Ask somebody, can you please help me? This is what I need to be happy.
But today I came with expectation to like feel that energy today, because I just was like, if I could just get here to listen to your story today, that would inspire me. And I just really want to say thank you. That's why I came back, because it was just in me just to come back to at least to say thank you. You might not have been where I'm at right now, but your story still inspired me regardless.
All of you live in the world of more than enough, with me and through me. And so if all of us can live with gratitude, empathy, accountability, and effective communication, if all of us can consistently, every day, persistently, without quit, enjoy the pursuit of that blessing, that potential, that truth, we can manifest everything we desire. And if I can empower you to be happy, to empower others to be happy, that's what makes me happy. Thank you very much.
All right, here we go. So it is Thursday. It is June 27th. It's 10:30 a.m. And welcome to Ask the Experts, our very first episode where I'm going to be your host and my co-host here, Andy Arter. And we have a very, very special guest today for our first episode. It's none other than Mr. David Meltzer, who is a legendary sports executive, formerly served as the CEO of renowned Leigh Steinberg Sports and Entertainment Agency, which was one of the inspiration for the movie Jerry Maguire. He is one of the world's top entrepreneurs, investors, and business coaches. David has been recognized by Variety magazine as their Sports Humanitarian of the Year and awarded the Ellis Island Medal of Honor. David is an executive producer of Apple TV Series 2, The Minute Drill, in Office Hours. Also the executive producer of Entrepreneur's #1 digital business show, The Elevator Pitch. David is featured in many books, movies, TV shows, as World's Greatest Motivators, Think and Grow Rich, and Beyond the Secret, featured on Netflix. It's his life mission to empower over 1 billion, you heard about, not 1 million, but 1 billion people to be happy. And it's a simple yet powerful mission that's led him on an incredible journey of one thing, which is creating value. And that's what we're looking to do with this show that I'm incredibly excited about, is every single week, just try to change lives and pour in value. So we're going to get right into it and kick it off. And on Ask the Experts, what we do here is we're going to be having live questions come in. So any questions you might have, give them to us and we'll answer those to the best of our ability. And we also have a list of curated questions that we got from insurance agents, business owners, in advance that we're going to be going over here today to try to jam pack some value into this call. So I'm actually going to tee up the first question, and then we're going to have my co-host Andy here handle the questions from there. But I wanted to ask this question to Mr. Meltzer. What are some, because one of the things that I noticed about your organization and you and how you operate, David, is you have incredible culture. You have incredible internal culture with your team members. You have incredible client culture where I don't think I've ever seen somebody in your vicinity when it comes to all the people that you bring around you that are not operating on the same frequency. And that's not easy to do. So my question is for you is what are some tangible ways that people can integrate company values into the daily operations and mindset of employees when it comes to having a phenomenal company culture, just like you do?
Well, this may be a funny answer, but you have to be annoying. And here's the thing. When I say be annoying, there's two things that annoy the crap out of the people around you, and especially your family, especially your children. One, you need to be honest. And honesty annoys people. You need to tell the truth, be transparent. And even worse, you need to be repetitive. You have to acknowledge the fact that people, they don't listen to you and they absolutely don't hear you. And it takes many, many repetitions in order to effectuate alignment and awareness to what you're teaching. And so to build a culture, you have to be annoying and repetitive to everyone around you. Then two, you have to be annoying and repetitive about three things. One, your values. Nobody repeats their values every Monday, Wednesday, Friday internally to their children. It's gratitude, empathy, accountability, and effective communication. Two, you need to be repetitive and annoying and honest about your daily practices. So everyone around me is clear about the commitment to consistency in pursuit of their potential, not mine. And then finally, the third attribute of being annoying, the third area to be annoying in, which is, remember, to be transparent and honest, and two, to be repetitive, which sucks, is your execution model. We have to remind people of the outcomes that we want or better. And a lot of times we get so busy working, for example, we forget to make money. And so I am one of the most annoying people. That's how I have built such an extraordinary culture with my family, my business, and my community.
No, I love that. That was an incredible answer. And I hope the audience is listening because those were some golden nuggets. And I know me, when things really changed and got to the next level in my business, it was all around focusing on culture. You know, I never knew about that until I walked into a conference and I saw somebody that was running the number 1 through 7 Honda dealerships at a 10X conference. And the game changer was he associated everything to having set non-negotiables, just like you're talking about, David, and non-compromising culture. And by
the way, that person was a coaching client of mine, just so you know.
Oh, was it? Oh, JJ?
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. So there you go. That's how he must have gotten to the place where he is, learning from the best.
Good stuff. Well, along the lines of culture, we had another question come in just before the show, and it was, how can a company maintain a strong company culture during periods of either rapid growth or significant turmoil or change?
Yeah, well, first of all, we have to understand that those are both the same. Yeah, rapid growth is a significant change. And so what I utilize are 5 daily practices and incorporate 3 characteristics of energy. Number 1, they create behavior. Good behavior is defined, whether it's personal or professional, as behavior that is aligned with where we want to be or better. And bad behavior is defined as that which interferes with where we want to be or better. And sometimes, Andy, your behavior, your good behavior may be my bad behavior. And so what I mean by that is it's an individual activity to say, what do I want today, personally, experientially, giving and receiving, in conjunction with the reality of my day, in-laws, flat tires, interest rates, getting kicked off of Facebook. Who knows what happens? There's real things that happen in life, and they don't impact me, man. They don't. And so for me to tell you that it's not an individual pursuit of where you want to be or better within the context of where we want to be or better, and it's regulated or limited by the 24 hours each day because it's regulated by the reality of the day. Yes, we give meaning or find light, love, and lessons of the past aligned with where we want to be or better. But it is the day that we ask ourselves, what do I want today? Who can I help today? And who can help me? How best can I get that done according to the circumstances of today? Right? All of a sudden, there's an in-law coming into town, or our kids, COVID happens. So put it into the context of the 24 hours that you're given every day, guaranteed, except for the last day of your life. You'll be cheated seconds, minutes, and hours. Only the last day of your life are you cheated time. Every other day, you're guaranteed 24 hours. Now comes the real illustration or confirmation that you're doing what you need to do each day, which is prioritization. You see, prioritization is the antidote of what kills businesses. Feeling overwhelmed, like you said, from rapid growth or change, or two, procrastination, which is the response to feeling overwhelmed by rapid growth or change. Antidote, prioritization. If you know what's important to you today, every single day, then you're going to know what to do now, and you're going to know what to do next. And 100% of the things that you do now get done. So you become extremely successful statistically because 100% of the things you do now get done. The biggest problem is most people don't know what to do now or next, and therefore nothing gets done. And then finally, the fifth daily practice is not to search for your why, not to search for what other people want, what's missing, what you don't have, what you want people to think you are. Instead, it is a faith-based application of why. Apply your why by asking yourself, I am happy, I am healthy, I am wealthy, I am worthy. Let's figure out what you're doing to interfere with it. And then when we identify the interference, the bad behavior, spend less time, less of the 24 hours in interference, and more of the time in the divine direction, in the divine time, according to what's going on today, by giving meaning to the past. The only limitation of the past is your meaning you give it, and you give meaning to everything you see. You have control of the meaning, the mindset of everything you see in the divine direction, in divine time. Know your what, your who, your how, and your now. Apply your why, and I promise you that you will have control of all changes, successes, failures, mistakes, setbacks, etc. in your life.
Boom. I absolutely love that. Thank you for that answer. And I want to build upon that for a moment. So, I think also to your question there, Andy, when it comes to, rapid growth and sustaining culture, right, it can get very easily, that can kind of get diluted if you don't have the right foundation, right? So I think foundationally, you got to have the right foundation when it comes to culture. And just like Dave says all the time, you can't do it alone. You got to ask for help. And in this circumstance, you got to ask for help within your own team, because that's what you are as a team. First, you got to make sure, one, you have the right players that are on your team that are bought into the vision, and that they're going out there with you in protecting that culture. So you think about it, it's a turn of the watches. When you step out of that building and then that other leader steps into the building, or if you're a virtual company and it use the analogy that you step out of your Zoom room and then you have that other leader step into your Zoom room, they should be in complete alignment of those same core values, those same fundamentals, have the same expectations as a team. And I think when you have that there foundationally, just like Dave was saying earlier, having the right foundation and then repeatable, being annoying, right? So it's like repeatable processes every single day. Like everybody on the organization should be able to recite, hey, these are our 10 non-negotiables and our core values inside of our company. This is why we live by them. So they understand the why behind everything. So now as you're facing that rapid growth and you're bringing in new team member after new team member, you're not doing that alone as a leader. You actually have a team of leaders around you that understand the vision. They're bought into the vision. You're on the same journey. So you have an army that's helped leading you keep that integrity of that culture in the place as you start to grow and scale.
Incredible. This is the dual David powerhouse right here. I love this. We actually have questions rolling in. So if you guys don't mind, I'm going to keep on trucking through because I want to get as much of this value out as possible. And one that popped in during your conversation, Dave, about company culture was, can you share some of your core values and how those play a part in maintaining your culture for you specifically?
Oh, for sure. And it's changed my life. When I sat on my bed at the lowest moment when my basement had a basement, these were the 4 values that I took stock in of what I was and what I wanted to become. Number one, gratitude. Gratitude gives me perspective. In every situation, event, circumstance, and person, it allows me to find what I'm looking for, the light, the love, and the lessons to confirm I'm protected, promoted, and loved by something bigger than me that loves me more than my mom. Two, empathy, forgiveness. This brings me ease. It keeps me in the flow. It allows me to utilize the omniscient, all-powerful, all-knowing source that I am connected to and through. So I forgive myself so I can forgive others. Just as a little hack, when I get pissed off, upset, resentful, guilty, separate, inferior, superior, anxious, frustrated, angry, whatever it is that's interfering with my potential, the first question I ask myself is an empathetic one. Have I done this before? Because it's amazing that 99% of the time that we're pissed off at something or someone, we've actually been the person that have done that to somebody else. And it's so much easier to forgive ourselves and then forgive other people. Three, accountability. Accountability is a mechanism of control. We talked about that earlier, that things change rapidly today, especially because of technology. Accountability says, with gratitude and empathy, to find the light, the love, and the lessons and to create ease, what did I do to be responsible? What did I do to attract this? What am I doing to participate in the perception? And most importantly, to get control, what am I supposed to learn from it? That creates, when we learn, remember, life is about lessons. The lessons keep on coming until we learn them. That's where the words resolve and resolution comes from. It's not a solution, it's a resolution, a resolution. And then finally, effective communication. Initially, effective communication was my ability to clear the interference of awareness, to shorten the distance of resistance between me and others. Today, it is also incorporated my faith that it's to first to clear the interference between me and my source, the omniscient, all-powerful, all-knowing, abundant, infinite system of thought that I belong to allow it to come through me and still clear the interference between me and everyone else. So gratitude, empathy, accountability, and effective communication are the foundational values in which I put everything in my life, personal and professional, upon.
I love that. And yeah, I'd love to share what ours are too. So, our core values inside of our organizations, whether it's our insurance organization, our recruiting firm, Team Hired, it's the same. It's, one, live with integrity with everything you do. Always do the right thing. If you always do the right thing is going to eventually happen to you. To be a team player at all costs. There's no room for anybody to, operate in an individual silo. We got to be a team player, always supporting one another. Creating solutions, not excuses. One of the whys behind that is we found that, we were doing our team members a disservice by solving all the problems for them. And then they weren't thinking for themselves, which was causing them to be in a place where they weren't growing, right? Because when they're solving problems and you solve problems, you build muscle behind that. So we actually have a rule of 3. If somebody has a problem, they can come to us anytime. But to prevent the same people coming to the same problems every single day circulating around the office, we have a rule of 3. If you have a problem, you got to come to us with 3 solutions and tell us which one you believe is the best solution is why. And what this does is it promotes like an environment of critical thinking, self-accountability, where they're solving those problems on their own. Train daily and be coachable. A lot of times you might have your best performer. Why do I need to train? I'm crushing it. Well, champions train every single day. And the only way we get better is through training and open the coaching. Like even myself, where I'm at, I'm light years away where I want to be. And that's why I hire coaches like Mr. Dave Meltzer here that help me get to the next level where I want to go. And then PMA, positive mental attitude. It's not to say somebody can't have a bad day. We have an open door policy. Come to us if we can support you in any way, shape, or form. But what we have zero tolerance is somebody coming in and creating a toxic work environment and perpetuating negativity that's going to negatively impact our internal customers, which are our team members, and our external customers, which are our clients. And then it's delivering a world-class customer experience. We call it a fanatical customer experience because we wanted to deliver a radical experience different than anybody else in all of our companies. Show up, be present, be enthusiastic, loyalty, going the extra mile, and to believe, to buy into the process. So those are our top 10 that we have in our organization that we really try to live by and coach in all of our companies.
I love this. This is like, instead of spreadsheet fueled business, this is soul fueled business. This is my type of thing. So I feel like I have a front row seat to some really great stuff right now. And with that said, we're going to switch gears a little bit out of culture and get into a very interesting question that came in from Brett Schickler. And that was, Dave, your mission is to empower over 1 billion people to be happy. Can you share the key strategies you've implemented to achieve this ambitious goal? Additionally, what advice would you give to someone looking to start making a positive impact on their own community?
Beautiful question. And it's people like David Williams that align with the mission of empowering over 1 billion people to be happy. And define happiness is my expertise, skills, knowledge, and desire is to teach people how to live in abundance, how to make a lot of money, help a lot of people, and have a lot of fun. And when you think about David Williams, you think about someone who makes a lot of money, helps a lot of people, and has a lot of fun. And so he's an ideal candidate to get me to where I want to be, because my mission is to build a community by empowering 1,000 people like David Williams, empowering them with the values, practices, and execution model, empowering with the mindset, heart set, and handset, in order to, as he is doing, empowering 1,000 people to empower another 1,000. See, the easiest way to get to over 1 billion people to change the world, because one particle of light overcomes 1 million particles of darkness, is to find 1,000 David Williams, who will find 1,000 David Williams, who will find 1,000 David Williams, who will make the values, practices, and execution models their own, but empowering them 1,000 times 1,000's 1 million, 1 million times 1,000's 1 billion. And I know, because of the particle of light equation, that if I empower over 1 billion people to make a lot of money, help a lot of people, and have a lot of fun, I will have a huge community of light that's there to help one another and know people that help one another, that are buying from each other and selling for each other. And that we actually, by my primary focus of finding 1,000 David Williams, will change the world. Will change the mindset, the heart set, and the handset, the abundance in the entire world, because I know 1 billion particles of light will overcome the other 7 billion particles of darkness.
I love that. And I'm a firsthand testament to that too. I've been in the Dave's community, and it's pretty profound, because you don't see many communities that are like that. It's like you meet one person after the next, and it's like very, very similar frequency in terms of how they operate, in terms of how they project light in the world, in terms of gratitude. So, that was one of the big lessons that I had was, I was trying to do big things alone for so long. I had, good team members, good partners, but realized to really do things at a big scale that I had to follow in, Mr. Meltzer's footsteps here, and get more of those people, build out my own community around there, and, help try to do big things together. That's why our kids program, we were trying to get off of the ground. We realized we couldn't do that alone. And we had a heart and passion for impacting kids, teaching them the things they don't teach in school through Fifth Degree Academy. But in order to get that off the ground and running all these other companies, I had to find other like-minded people that had a similar heart and a similar mind when it came to empowering our youth, when it came to giving our kids and equipping them the knowledge to go out in the world, not just to survive like so many people do, but go out in the world and really thrive and make a difference and be that particle of light. I know it's powerful what David says. One particle of light can defeat 1 million particles of darkness. So choose to be the light.
Incredible. All right, we got a question coming in from Victor Gonzalez, who I believe is in sunny Miami, Florida, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, hey, Victor. Good to hear you, my friend.
How has your decision-making process evolved over the years, and what experiences or lessons have most significantly contributed to that evolution? That's from Victor.
Yeah. So in order to make decisions, number one, I put it in context of one reality. The minute I make a decision or come to an agreement, applied, oral, written, even with consideration, 3 things change: time, emotion, and value change instantly. So therefore, having the perspective that the decision that I make today is based off of the clues from today and the patterns created from the past. And so putting into perspective a decision, that every decision or agreement that I make is still attributable to divine time. I can't control the outcome or the timing of the outcome, and divine direction. I can't control the outcome. In fact, I'm not even capable of understanding or knowing the outcomes of today. So therefore, all decisions that I make are based off of the clues of today, the patterns of the past, and making the choice in the consideration of the perception that time, emotion, and value will change. So the management and development of that decision is much more than important than the decision itself. And so I'll make the most important decisions first and allow urgency of a decision to be a subset in order to effectuate alignment with my divine direction and divine time and the timing and risk tolerance of today, which will change because time, value, and emotion will change the instant I make a decision.
I love that. And then, I'll build on that a little bit too, like very similar to David. I think it's, analyzing, past data patterns. One of the ways, I was labeled as a kid as, somebody with a learning disability grew up, but I realized I just learned differently. And one of the ways that I learned were through like kind of measuring data sets, really, really good with numbers, good with math, and good with managing data, where started to realize in life, no matter what you're trying to make a decision behind your health, a decision behind expanding your wealth, a faith-based decision, you can look at other like similar circumstances in your past, like go back in history and look at, hey, similar decisions, what was the ripple effect and what was the data pattern that took place in that? And then also look at people, maybe it's a new thing that you're trying to make a decision behind. Who has already gotten to the destination you're looking to do and had to be in your seat that you're in today, having to face that same decision? What was the decision that they made to get the outcome that you desire? And then analyze all those data variables between point of decision and point of impact, and then just emulate it, right? Why recreate the wheel when there's people, I think there's at least one person in the world somewhere that have already accomplished what you're looking to do. And I think you'll find probably 100,000 people in the world somewhere that's already accomplished what you want to do. Just analyze those consistent data patterns, follow suit, and you'll end up with a predictable and highly probable result that looks very similar to the result that that person got.
Awesome. Well, at this point, I think we're right at 11 a.m. So I believe, David, you've got another 1,000 people to go impact right now and go off. So we're going to let you go do that. But thank you so much. We are very grateful to have you here. And go ahead.
Yes, I want to say thank you to both of you. And it's an honor. My lucky number is 1. I was born on January 11th, 111 and 111. And so to be the first episode resonates. And I cannot wait to support your community, amplify your show. Very, very first episode, amazing job. I do want to offer your entire community book. I will send it to you, pay for shipping and the book. Email me directly, david@dmeltzer.com. I'll be happy to provide you that book. Please, everyone, remember, be more interested than interesting. Be kind to your future self and do good deeds. Thanks for allowing me to be a part of the very first Ask the Experts with David Williams.
Boom. And thank you, my brother. Thank you for coming on. Just super grateful for you. I'm grateful for our friendship, grateful for the mentorship, and just blessed to have you on the show today. So I hope you have an amazing rest of your day today. And yeah, everybody hit up David. You'd think somebody else is managing his email, but it's this guy. That's how committed he is to reach those billion people. You send him an email, he's going to reply personally, and he'll send you out that free book. And it's not a digital copy, but he's going to send you out a physical copy, just like he said, in the mail. That's how generous this man is. So Dave, thank you for the love that you spread, the gratitude that you spread. And, thank you for being an awesome friend and mentor, my friend. Have a blessed day today.
See you soon. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right. So we can, we still got some time here. I know Dave just had 30 minutes today for our first show. And that's what we're going to be doing, guys. We're going to be bringing in interesting folks that are doing big things in the world, probably people that you might not had on the average insurance podcast or show. That's one of the things that I've been blessed to do in my network is I worked really hard to build relationships with a lot of interesting and incredible people. And I've now became friends with them, built mentorship relationships with them. And we're going to be bringing people at least once a month, somebody like David Meltzer, and then other experts in your industry to dive into problems like this. And this is what this show is going to be all about. Ask the experts. So not just maybe downloading some information or teaching you about something that's not relative that's going on in your world now, but you can show up to the show, have a specific problem, and we will try our best to solve that problem live on air. And you know what? We don't have all the answers. If we don't have the answers, we'll try our best to go get the answer to that from somebody else for you and bring it to you. But, you know, we're here to serve. We're here to add value, and that's it. And that's why I'm so excited about the show. We still have some time here. I think we had about, 27 minutes, because we're going to do an hour show every single week. So I'm going to let Andy here bring up some more of your questions, and I'm going to do the best of my ability to go through all of them, give you my 2 cents, my intake, and my insight on anything that you guys want to bring to the table today. So appreciate everybody that's active and listening.
Yeah, I'm so excited for this, because there's so many groups that you join in, and you can never get a question in edgewise. But I love that you would put this together, and I'm extremely excited for it. And I've got a question that's been staring me in the face that we got that I got to ask. And this has more to do with the hiring side, of which I know you're an expert, and you know a lot about that space. And this is something that comes up all the time. And it's, how can a small business or small businesses compete with large corporations to attract top tier candidates, right? So you take like a small business versus the big corporate or medium sized businesses that maybe, you know, have these big compensation plans. They've got different payouts. They've got different structures in place. How in the world do you go get top talent and make sure that you don't lose those best talented individuals to the larger corporations?
Yeah, so I think the nice thing there is, like, you hear people trying to go out and work for different corporations, right? And it sounds flashy and sexy to go work for Google. It sounds flashy and sexy to go work for, you know, a Facebook, to go work for one of these big tech giants. Like, oh my gosh, I'm working for Amazon, right? And they got that big name, they got that big authority that attracts people in. But I think as a small business, you got something that big corporations don't have. You have the unique ability to be small and nimble and do things and have a profound company culture that gets inherently more and more difficult as you expand and grow. They start to lose sight, you know, places like Amazon and Facebook. And there's big companies that do a great job. You know, one that comes to mind is Zappos. They got phenomenal company culture, but your average company, even these giants, the bigger they get, the more departments they get, the more managers underneath managers, we find that it just starts to dilute the culture more and more and more. So what you can do is figure out, hey, what is your ideal scene? What changed the game for me, again, was, you know, back to that question on cultural earlier. What changed the game for me was just hearing those words. The number 1 through 7 Honda dealerships operated by JJ was all around culture. And I realized that was the missing element in my insurance agency. You know, we grew our first one to $22 million. We exited that. We started over again, and we built it back up again. And that's been the secret sauce. When we hit a plateau, we realized our culture wasn't where it needed to be. So we came in and said, hey, my name is on the door. I want to create the ideal scene. I want people coming in here excited every day. I want people coming in here showing up to win. I want people coming in here living with integrity and living my values. I want people that are coming in here positive minded. Yeah, we can have a bad day. We're all humans, but we're not perpetuating negativity like you see in so many workplaces before. So I casted this vision for this ideal scene, and then I came in and got all of our team members to give feedback into that. And we bought into the vision together. We created the vision together. And I explained the why behind it, right? Because we can create culture to create culture, but people won't buy in unless they see the why. Why are we doing this? Well, when we're looking to grow at scale and we're looking to grow that big, you know, it's important to have this sort of infrastructure, like a commitment to excellence for our customers, our internal team members. And we had everybody buy into that, where eventually it took time, and we lost some key performers that were top performers when it came to KPIs and metrics, but they weren't top performers when it came to embracing our core values and company culture. You know, we gave them multiple warnings. We gave them 60 days to basically adapt. And there was some people that it was just in their DNA that they couldn't be positive, right? And that wasn't congruent. It wasn't in alignment with our culture. So when we made that a non-negotiable, we created this very interesting dynamic. Eventually, you know, those people got out. And the interesting thing about it is the top performers that left, and now we came down to a smaller team, we all of a sudden started doing way more business with a much smaller team, because we found that those people, that while they were operating very well as individuals from a KPI perspective, they were negatively impacting other individuals on the team just for their overall values that they exhibited inside of our operation. Once we got to that place, it literally became like a magnet. because now they saw on social media, everybody having fun. They're ringing a bell inside of our office. We're excited. We're having these amped up morning meetings. We're committed to training. And then another thing there is it really came down to our 3 C's. At Team Hired and our recruiting company, we teach a lot about our 3 C's. It's making sure to have the right compensation plan that's easy to understand, but it's also incentivized, tied into your culture and your core values. So, you even know this, Andy, at Team Hired, what do? We incentivize our ops team. 50% of their pay comes from delivering a fanatical customer experience. It's derived off of success points, providing that epic customer experience. So we defined the culture, what it looked like, and we reinforced and compensated. A lot of times it's for, hey, you get sales, you get compensated. No, we wanted to compensate for a fanatical experience. And what is the measurement for that? Well, the measurement is if they're doing a Google review, they're doing a Facebook post, they're doing referrals to us, they're doing a Better Business Bureau review, a video testimonial. We know that's the makeup in the DNA of a raving fan. So that became part of our culture. And then we started to realize that the right people that were going to deliver that type of experience, that were bought into that culture, guess what they got attracted by? That culture. So we literally created the magnet to bring them in. We had the right comp plan that was simple, easy to understand, incentivized by the core principles within our culture. We had the right opportunities there for them to serve the customers the way they wanted to serve. And if you think about it, somebody coming into your building, they're spending, more time in your establishment, whether you operate virtually or internally, and they're spending more time there than they are with their own families. So it's got to feel like a family environment. It's got to feel like a high energy environment that doesn't feel like work. And that's what we focused on is, we treat all of our team members like family. And when we're coaching to the KPIs, it's not about, hey, why didn't you do this many dials? It was like, hey, you told me when you filled out that vision board, what was most important to you was getting that house for your family. And what do you think that's going to do today? You having a bad day or an off day, not showing up every hour, every minute of the day today, because you're here 8 hours anyways. Is that fair to little Johnny or little Jane at home that they got to wait another day, another week, another month to get into that house that they deserve to be in and you deserve to be in? So the conversation hits differently when you're talking about why are they even here at our organization? What are they chasing? Because they don't care about the number, but you got to relate the number. Why is it impactful to them as a team member in your organization? They're chasing that number for a different reason. So I've always found creating a culture where you serve your team members to help them hit their goals, that I'll never have to worry about my goals inside of my organization. And that's all part of the ecosystem that becomes the magnet that attracts, because who doesn't want to work in a workplace like that? So again, there's compensation, there's culture. And I think the last piece of that is an irresistible offer when it comes to career path. Too many times people are afraid, well, I don't want them to grow too fast, or I don't want them to own their own business or whatever it might be. I want to bring somebody in and keep them forever. Well, that mindset is the very thing that's going to cause you to lose their employees. So we try to treat our employees, where do you want to grow and how can we get you there, right? And you want to be a business owner, you want to be in my seat, you want to do this personally for your goals, get that new house, get that new car. We're in alignment and we give them a path. So I'll tell you, when I sold my first round of insurance agencies and had my very first exit, the people that bought my books, they all started as just about every one of them started as a telemarketer for me, but they had a clear line of sight. I can go from being a telemarketer after 90 to 120 days. If I'm living the values, I'm living the culture in here, I can move up, become a sales rep. Then I can become a senior sales rep. Then I can become a team lead. Then I can become a sales director, or a director of operations. And then from there, I'm treated like an entrepreneur inside of the organization, because if I want to go to the next level of owning my own agency. And the reason why our retention was so strong was because of the fact that we provided that unique path that not many companies do. It's typically you get here and it's like, you're not allowed to be promoted for 3 years because that's just is the way it is. It doesn't matter how you perform. Or like, we just don't give people the ability to get to ownership, or we don't give people the ability to climb any higher when they start this role. No, the second you have a ceiling there, they're going to see limited opportunity and they're going to explore other opportunities. So we tried to break through that ceiling. And then once we had all those fundamentals in place, it just became viral. People would share on social media. They'd share with their friends and family. Where now, all of a sudden, we had to stop recruiting internally because we had so many amazing people being referred to us for our own individual internal family. Birds of a feather typically flock together. So if you have your best rock star referring a family member or a client, well, what are they going to do? Like they're going to likely refer somebody that speaks the similar language as them. And it's really creating that unique magnet, which I think that's the value proposition. I know that's a long answer, but I wanted to spend some time on this because I think it's important, because one of the number one problems I hear out there is there's no good quality candidates. People keep ghosting and ghosting and ghosting. And we've done dozens and dozens and dozens of exit interviews at Team Hired when we've helped, thousands of insurance agents across the country now place their next hires. We found upon exit interview, the reason why that they were ghosting, we just were transparent. What is the real reason you didn't show up? Because we need that feedback to get better. And it came down to the compensation plan didn't make sense. It wasn't competitive enough. The culture wasn't there, and then sometimes they didn't speak in the terms of culture, but the way to describe it was describing culture. And you had to go back to the drawing board to work on that culture. And they just didn't see a long-term career path opportunity. But in the insurance business, which so many owners and operators on here are from the insurance space, I believe it's one of the best opportunities in America, right? But are we articulating that to them in the culture? Are we articulating that to them in the job interview? Are we magnifying that message out there, why it's the greatest opportunity in America? Or are we hiding that? Because I want to hire this employee, but I don't want them to ever leave me and find that opportunity. Well, great people don't cost you money. And if you want great people, you got to give them great opportunities. And I'll tell you what, like having an amazing person in your organization for 6-7 years before they go off on their own is not a bad thing. Not a bad thing at all. And the Amazons of the world, the Facebooks of the world cannot offer up the opportunity that's in the insurance space. Because the reality is you come in here and bust your butt no matter where you're at. And just like those people I sold my agencies to, you go up to a telemarketer, you move your way up through the ranks and get to a place of preparedness where preparedness meets opportunity. And in reality, in the insurance business, if you just bought a book of business, didn't even start from scratch, did it the safe way, and let's say you didn't even grow that thing, and you bought a $4 million book of business, well, now you have an asset that's being paid down over the course of 10 years. And if you just maintain that asset to the exact same size after 10 years, you just made yourself a millionaire. What other opportunities out there in America, Amazon, Google, I don't care where you go, all these flashy, sexy companies, you're going to hit a ceiling. You're going to have incremental growth, maybe 3% increase at a time. But in this lane, whether you're either at a company that allows you to operate like an entrepreneur, or you are an entrepreneur in the insurance business, where else can you go to climb the ladder to become a millionaire and have an asset that's worth that? So project that out to your candidate, project that out into the world, and you'll have the greatest magnet ever. And you never will ever have to look for an employee again because they'll be looking for you.
Beautiful. I can attest to that too. I've seen the way that you operate, and I've been on the other end of that, right? Like I've worked at the $1 billion corporation when it was like, just settle down. You'll eventually make more money. You'll eventually have success. Just be quiet and sit in a corner, And I think people know enough now. There's enough online. There's enough reviews out there for people to really be able to find you. If you have a great culture, people are going to flock to you. Like you said, they're going to magnetize towards you. And that actually brings me into the next question, which we can always circle back on hiring, but with about 14 minutes to go, this is one that comes up all the time. And that's, what are the key elements on effective onboarding processes that sets up new hires for success from day one? Like when you bring on a brand new employee, what does that roadmap look like?
Yeah, so this took us a while to figure out, but once we figured it out, I'll tell you what, our success rate compared to our failure rate went through the roof with bringing on the right people. So one, it comes on bringing on the right people, right? You want to make sure that you have a hiring process, always be in the mindset of always be hiring. Because I find when you lose that key person and you're in a state of being reactive to find somebody, what do you do when you react? You typically aren't very methodical. It's not more quality, but you're being reactive, which more times than not, I feel like you can have that wrong hire because you're trying to slap a Band-Aid on things and slip the problem. But then that wrong hire costs you more down the road. It costs you in company culture by not hiring the culture. It costs you by bringing the wrong player in. You're spending time, money, and energy trying to develop somebody that's maybe not passionate about what you're trying to have them be passionate about, or not capable from a skill set level to fulfill the shoes that you're looking for them to fulfill. But when do you typically find superstars? You find superstars when you don't have an immediate need. For the stars to align perfectly where, hey, I just lost this key player today, and then all of a sudden for somebody to walk in that's another superstar that took you 2-3 years to find the last one is going to be highly improbable. What I like to tell people is overhire only when you're hiring great and exceptional people, because great and exceptional people, they don't cost what? They don't cost money. Because you bring a great and exceptional person inside your insurance agency, especially in the Allstate world or any of the insurance ones where there's variable comp. A lot of times that upfront revenue that they're producing pays for that person. And now you're being proactive, overstaffing with the right players. And if you lose somebody because you're hiring all the way through, I feel like that can be an absolute game changer for you, just to be in that state of always hiring and looking for those right key players that are coming inside your organization.
Perfect. So always having a bench. And then what are some of the pitfalls that you've seen in your years where people might hire a great individual and then lose them in the first, let's say, 60 to 90 days because they didn't have enough structure, they didn't have the proper planning in place or the proper management? Like, what are you seeing from an onboarding perspective that costs people that great hire that they could have retained?
Yeah.
But because of lack of planning, they lose them.
So that's the next part of it to get into, right? So when it comes to retaining that person, so that's attracting them, right? And then when it comes to retaining that person in there, it's having that right roadmap. So we'll try to, with all of our team members, outline what does day 1 look like, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, who are they shadowing? What are they learning from? And having a really dynamic learning program in place. So that first 90 days is setting them up for success. We're throwing them in the trenches. They're not just sitting there getting thrown to a desk. Hey, good luck. Like, how many have ever been there before? I've done that myself before, because we're busy. We're already wearing 10 different hats. The new hire starts. Oh my gosh, I got all these different things to do today. And a lot of times people, it's not the most desirable thing that they want to do, is train from the ground up all over again. I find a lot of business owners enjoy the training part of the process, but it's tedious. And what is anything that's tedious? It's uncomfortable. And what do we do with things that are uncomfortable? We typically try to flow into the lane of comfort and avoid that. So what happens there is we avoid training the employee, or we dish it off to somebody else. It's just kind of winging it, which results in the person, that could have been a phenomenal hire you brought in from a different industry, and they're crushing it in that industry because they didn't have the right foundation from a training perspective. They never got the confidence that they needed, that never turned into the competence. So they decided this wasn't for me. And you just wasted 90 days of that employee being in your building, not giving you any sort of return, and then going back to the drawing board and starting all over again. And it's actually, Andy, why we invented our software, Jarvie, because it was such a pain point for us. And I'm like, what are the things that we could solve with our software we invented? Jarvie, that now automates the hiring process, automates the training process, uses AI to help you create training roadmaps, SOPs. And one of the biggest things that was a big game changer there for us was we found people don't learn through reading a manual. People don't learn just from watching a video. How do they learn? Real world experience, real world interaction.
Yeah.
But how do you get that real world interaction? It's like you kind of got to throw them out to the wolves at some point. But what we found when you do that is they would build bad habits. And when they build bad habits, because they're on the fly learning, those bad habits now are 10x tougher to break than building fundamental great habits from the beginning. So when we saw that, that's what inspired us to create Jarvie, that automates the role play process in your organization. So you can actually build, hey, the perfect pitch. Here's the perfect sales pitch and the perfect greeting. They listen to it. And then once they're done listening to it, it gives them a prompt to activate their microphone and their camera and rehearse it and live role play it back into the platform. So now the agency manager and owner doesn't have to do that. It systematizes and automates the entire training process, and allows now all of a sudden, after putting in 24 reps, I'll tell you, using the software internally so long, that's why we're so excited about it. It's changed the game for us because the failure rate has gone down exponentially, and the learning curve it takes to get a sales rep or a customer service rep up and running has decreased, I'd say, by at least 60% in our own operations, because now they're putting in perfect practice over and over and over again, 24 times, 36 times if it takes it. So now when they get in a front-facing live interaction, it's just second nature to emulate that perfect practice, and there's no room, or not as much room, to build bad habits. So that's what we do, have a very calculated systems and processes and a dialed in 90-day roadmap to get them up and running.
Beautiful. So I want to turn this question to kind of you directly from your experience. And it's very interesting. This came in a little bit before this show. And it was in your experience, Dave, what is the most underrated quality in a great leader when it comes to building a strong company culture, great training program, great hiring process, but the most underrated, not something that's on the cover of a book, something maybe people don't think about as often?
Yeah, I'd say, the most underrated quality that I'm looking for is like the ability, to be humble, empathetic, and be a servant, servant leadership. When I'm looking for that quality, can this person be a servant? And when it comes up to the genetic makeup of that individual, like what are the core values that they align by? And when I compare their core values to our top 10 that we talked about earlier in the show, what is that look like if I were to do an overlay? Like, and I took their top 10 core values and our company top 10 core values. Do we have like an 80% hit rate, a 70% hit rate, 20% hit rate? Do we have a 100% hit rate? So I'm looking at, because it's really tough to teach some of those core values, like showing up and just having grit. That's something you typically, I find, learn over time, and it's tough. It can be done, but it's a lot tougher to teach grit. Integrity, that's something that's instilled in you from an early age. So a lot of these core values and principles we have are ones that are tough to teach, and that's why there are core values and principles, and we're hired to those things. But again, to your point, the underrated quality, we're looking for somebody empathetic. They're a servant leader, because there's so many leaders out there that are bad leaders. We all had somebody we worked for that was a bad leader, right? But why are they a bad leader? It's because they use the authority of their title to lead, versus coming in and being what the greatest leaders do, is just being a servant leader, leading by example. I like to call that shadow of a leader. People will do as you do and emulate your shadow before they do as you say. So it's like you can direct somebody to do that and say, hey, I'm the leader, I'm the manager, you need to do X, Y, Z. But are you living that? Because they're going to emulate what you're doing, not what you're saying.
Yeah, I think I heard some stories about you long before I met you, Dave. When you were scaling your Allstate operation there, one of the things that stood out for people I've talked to is that you were on the front lines. Like, you weren't posted up in some corner office. You were down in the trenches with the team. And could you just talk a little bit about that? I'm curious what that was like for you and why you operated that way.
So through that experience, that's what allowed me to adopt the way I operate now. So like even when Team Hired was born, our next company, and we have multiple different companies. So we work Ricochet 360 CRM. We got Jarvie, our software, Team Hired, our insurance agencies. So my learning was kind of by accident. When I first started, I had no choice but be on the front lines, and it was do or die. I came from, I lost my job. The company I worked for, I was dealing with challenges. The company I worked for went Chapter 11. I had to figure something else out. So I had to be on the front lines and just make it happen, or this opportunity wasn't going to work out. But the blessing in that, being under the gun and acting like somebody was going to take it away from me 24 hours a day, I realized that the employee on the left and the employee on the right learn from me. One of the best ways I ever trained any of my people, through osmosis. They saw me showing up, hustling 14, 16-hour days, pulling people out of the line at the DMV, cold calling out of the phone book. And a lot of times you think of those are activities that are tough for employees to get them to do. Hey, go grab people out of the line at the DMV. Hey, pick up a freaking phone book. You don't have any leads because we can't afford them right now, and start dialing people. But when I was doing it, there was just no question, because it's tough to show up, sit next to the boss, and not do what the boss is doing. So I realized a valuable principle there is too many people start their companies and they want to be the CEO from day one, but you would never join a company and be the CEO from day one. You typically got to work up the ranks to get there. So that's exactly what I do when I start any company or any new position in the company, is I live in the trenches, master it, and then earn the right to promote myself to CEO. But I master it alongside somebody, and I know nobody's going to ever be 100% of Dave Williams, but I want to get somebody that's going to be 60 to 70% of me. And if I can get somebody that's 60 to 70% of my level working alongside them, that's good enough. And that creates the foundation where they can be self-sustaining in that position, learning from me exactly the way I want them to learn. Well, by me going through that experience and being in the trenches, I know how high is high. I know how low is low. I know the problems that every one of my employees are going to face. I know what's possible. I know what's impossible. So what can I set now? I can set smart goals that are actually relevant to what's possible out there, rather than throwing something at a dartboard and figuring out, hey, here's a goal that I want to pull out of thin air. And then when my employee runs into obstacles trying to hit that goal, I don't know how to talk them through that, because I've never lived in the trench that they were in. So, but by being in there, I could master every single position and be able to be incredibly nimble as a leader to lead people in those positions.
Awesome. Perfect. Well, we've got about 2 minutes, I think, before wrapping up. So if there's any more questions through Facebook, we are monitoring that. So you can just drop those into the Insurance Syndicate group there, and we'll see it pop through. Otherwise, Dave, I'd love to give you the floor in the last couple of minutes here if there's anything else that you felt like was missed, that you want to recap or anything like that before we wrap up.
No, I just want to thank everybody for being with us today, whether you're with us live today and you've been putting some of those valuable questions out. And, thank everybody that's maybe watching the recording, and know that we're going to be doing this week after week. It's not a one and done thing. That's why I'm so excited about this. I'm excited about bringing in world-renowned experts and doing a different spin on something that I think needs to be done out there, right? Because you got the podcast, you got so many other valuable shows. We wanted to say, hey, when you're in a pinch, when you got something going up, your world's about to blow up in your business, or you're facing this challenge that you've been facing month after month after month, and you need a resource that you can come in and have somebody to help solve that, we want to do that. So that's what Ask the Experts is all about, is bringing in different experts on different topics every single week so you can prepare your questions. You can come in, and our only agenda here is we're not here to sell you on something, to pitch you on something, to say, hey, come in and buy this, or this is our offer at the end of it. No, this is just straight up content, straight up value. And that's a passion for me and a heart for me, why I'm so excited about this. And I just love to serve. Just straight up value that's going to, help you deal and get through some of the things that are in your life. We're going to bring people in here that have been to the places that you're looking to go. And I've found there's no better place to get to the destination that you're looking to get than finding somebody else that's already got the roadmap and the compass. And you know how they earn the roadmap and the compass is through experience. And what could take you maybe 10 months to solve, they can help you do it in 10 days. What could take you 10 years to solve, they can help you do it in 10 months. And I think that's the beauty about experts. That's the beauty about mentorship. And that is why I am so excited about this show. And again, we are right at the time. It's 11:30.
We got one more question. One more question.
We got one more question.
Yeah,
all
this
right.
one just
We'll answer that. We'll wrap up.
We'll finish on this. This is from Austin Mitchum. He said, Mr. Williams, what is one major setback you've experienced in your career that caused problems and or doubts in your company, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, so I'd
Big
say
final question.
a major setback that happened in my career, I got to go to my Circuit City story on that, because it was pre me starting my company, right? But I think it was an important part of the journey, and it's important to hit on when life hits us, how we respond and react to that. So my long story short, I'm going to give you guys, those that know you, they all know my Circuit City story, but those that are just meeting you today, pleasure to meet you. And I'm David Williams. How I got started in my entrepreneur journey was in 2009. I was an executive and store manager at Circuit City. I grew up as a kid. I learned a little bit different. I was labeled with a learning disability, told I wouldn't amount to much unless I worked with my hands, right? So I started to grow with this label. Went on to play baseball. Loved the game of baseball, but didn't have a lot of God-given talent. I found that it took me a lot more effort to be semi-good at the game than it did anybody else that didn't love it as much as me. But a superpower that I learned was through my dad. He was my first mentor in life. And he's taught me this relentless work ethic. And where I learned it is we had a brother that went down the wrong path. It's unfortunately no longer with us. My dad really took that to heart, stepped up as an entrepreneur himself. And he worked 2 businesses around the clock to afford the things he couldn't afford as a man in our household. And I've never seen a man work as hard as he did. But like we were talking about earlier, I learned from him through osmosis, and I just watched him show up every day to afford the things he couldn't afford, to put me through baseball lessons, to put my sister through singing lessons, to keep us so unbelievably busy we could never march down the path my brother ever did. And that was his goal. But I knew deep down in my heart, and I think this is important to have a purpose and a why to help us get through challenges in life, is we got to have a passion and a purpose much bigger than our problems. And my passion and purpose was to create a different life. I knew I needed to be the guy that changed the financial trajectory of my family tree forever. So here I was working at Circuit City, climbing the corporate ladder. And then one day life happened to me. The challenge that happened to me in corporate America, I woke up one day, keep in mind all these labels I faced in my life prior. The way I got through those labels was the superpower my dad taught me. I just outworked everybody in the room. It allowed me to play college baseball and then later on go on to work at Circuit City. But I woke up one day and my ankles were so swollen up. I had so much pain throughout my whole body, I couldn't walk. I lost my ability to walk. I had so much pain I could barely function. They eventually made me go off of work on disability. And now my doctors were labeling me this time. And my doctor said, David, you got this condition called ankylosing spondylitis. Your immune system attacks itself, it attacks your joints, attacks your organs. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when you're going to go on long-term disability. So that's a powerful statement, right? You're going to be on long-term disability. He just cast it into existence. That's my problem, right? I'm going to be this guy laying on a couch, living an almost life. And I knew God didn't put me on the earth for this. So I got to a place in my life where it got to the 6-month mark where they couldn't hold my job at Circuit City anymore. And while they got me on some medication and I was doing better than I was still really challenged on the health side. But now the extra layer on top of that, I was challenged financially because I wasn't paying my bills for 6 months that I was off of work. But I had a moment of decision. And I think we got to pay attention to these moments in our life, in our career. We got to pay attention to these moments in our personal life, in our relationships, in our faith, in our businesses. There's 2 different types of moments, I believe. There's inconsequential moments. Those are the moments we get caught up in, we shouldn't get caught up in, giving energy and attention to that we shouldn't be giving attention to, right? The little thing, the anthill we're turning into a landmine that we realize later that we never should have worried about it to begin with. But those inconsequential moments that we give our time and attention to can cloud us from the most important moments in my life. And in that moment in my life was a defining moment. And we want to pay attention and sit up front and take good notes, as another mentor told me, when it comes to defining moments in my life. And this was a defining moment. They're like, Dave, are you coming back to work? So I had to listen to my doctor, live into my labels, or I had to push through and do something different. And I decided to, just use that work ethic, push through the pain, got back to work at Circuit City. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to find a different way. And I wrote out a check for $1 million. Now, I only had a couple zeros in my bank account, but I needed a visual goal to chase. And it wasn't about the money. It was about the vehicle that $1 million check could do. And this was even before I figured out insurance, right? But I had this $1 million check and I had to figure out a way to do it. And I obsessed over it every day. And I obsessed and I looked at that check and what the check meant to me more than anything. It wasn't about the money, but if I could cash that check, I could create a different life. I could go out and find different doctors that could get me on a health trajectory that, oh, by the way, happened. I could go out and give my wife the house she deserved and the life she deserved to have rather than a guy being on a couch on disability. And then give back to my heroes, my mom and dad. I knew I had to be the guy to take care of them. So I wrote out this check. I obsessed about it. I prayed on it because I'm a person of faith. And then one day, I had a friend of the family comes in. He's running an Allstate insurance agency. And he's doing really well. And my first encounter of passive income, I was like, if he can do it, I can do it. So I started getting my insurance license at night. Everybody, all the naysayers, Dave, don't do it. Businesses fail. You're sick and businesses fail. So the odds that you're going to fail are even exponentially greater, right? I had everybody that are now giving me different labels. I pushed through it anyways, prayed on it some more. And I knew God had a different purpose for me when there was an insurance agency in that same shopping mall across from Circuit City, literally 100 feet away, that went out of business. And it was across from a DMV. So I know it was a freaking bad location. It was a great location, right? And the person that failed, they failed because they weren't putting in the work. But I knew my superpower, right? I had a superpower that I could put in the work like nobody else, but I had a purpose and a passion to solve my problem. So I was like, that's going to be my location. I spoke it into existence. I negotiated the lease. And then I had to figure out the most important part. I had no money. I was broke. So I just prayed on it some more and leaned into my faith, and I kept marching forward. I'm like, I'm going to figure this out, right? Because sometimes we get paralyzed in our problems and we sit in our setbacks. And I think it's important to maybe sit in your setback for like a day and then get to work. And that's what I did. Is I got to work and I started working on the problem. I prayed on it some more. And then in a moment of clarity, another defining moment, the liquidators came into Circuit City and they said, Dave, all the open merchandise, the customer displays, everything we got to get rid of. And you know what? We don't even care. Just get rid of it for pennies in a dollar. That was my God idea. My light bulb went off and I was like, what if I made it easy on you guys? And I just bought up all that inventory. And they said, what do you got in mind? I'm like, I don't have much money, but I got $7,000 left in my 401k after penalties. I'll give you that. They agreed. Ended up buying $70,000, $80,000 worth of electronics. I resold it and arbitraged that all online. I paid off all of my debt, raised the minimum capital to start my first Scratch agency, came in and acted as if somebody was trying to take it away from me 24/7. I didn't sit in my problem. I didn't sit in my setback. I just went full forth like a freaking maniac using the superpower that my dad taught me through osmosis and went all in with a profound purpose to create a different life that defied the labels that I've been given in my entire life, to create a different life for the people that I love the most, to be able to impact my community, and cash that check and be my dad's hero. So because that purpose was so massive and so profound that I found, it made while the problem was challenging, it made it rather easy in the grand scheme of things, of the drive and the motivation to chase it. So I showed up every day. The very first month, we were one of the top in the region, became one of the top in the country, and then ended up cashing that check. 34 and a half, went from a place that, I could have still been on a couch today, not doing anything, not living the life that I am today. But, I plowed forward, I solved that problem, and I cashed that check and was able to take my parents on some of the most beautiful trips, gave my wife the house she deserved, my son the house we deserved, moved to beautiful sunny Sarasota, Florida. And in a couple of my proudest moments in my life, I handed my heroes the keys to their brand new Cadillac and the keys to their brand new retirement home here in Sarasota, Florida, we moved them to. So, and I share that story. I didn't get a chance to share this story, and I know a lot of people have heard this before, but I wanted to do that in this first episode to this question, because I think our problems, sometimes we look at them through the wrong lens, right? And to me, I got so much purpose behind that one problem that it allowed me to create a life by design, and a life that I once dreamt of. And even the dreams that I had of the life that I had today weren't as great as the life that I'm blessed with today. And I would tell that to everybody in there, is like, don't sweat the small stuff, right? Keep the main thing the main thing. Keep your focus on what matters the most. Pay attention to defining moments, because we're limited to how many of those moments we get in our life. And I'll tell you, when preparedness meets opportunity, when it comes to those defining moments, I believe God puts them in our path for a reason. That's how he answers our prayers. That's my full belief as a man of faith, that our prayers get answered through opportunities, and we got to be prepared for them, to lean in and have a purpose that's so freaking strong and profound that you don't even need an alarm clock to wake you up every day. Because I needed that. Like, I was dealing with so much pain, so many different things, financial issues, health issues. I needed something that was so much more powerful than that. And I leaned into my faith, and I leaned into that purpose. And that was my recipe to success. So I would challenge everybody that no matter what problem, how big or small you're having in there, keep the main thing, have a profound purpose, and just make sure that you're paying attention to those defining moments presenting themselves in life.
Thank you very much for sharing that, Dave. And thank you, Austin, for the question as well. Big time. So that's very, very powerful way to finish off the first episode here today with you, Dave, and Ask the Experts. And really, really appreciate you being open and vulnerable there with your story, because it's super impactful. And I know that touches me. And I know it's got to touch a lot of people that are going to come across this as well. So thank you.
No, thank you. And thank you for being an awesome co-host today. I hope everybody enjoyed the episode today. We're going to continue to curate great experts that come in and try to once a month bring in like a superstar heavy hitter like a David Meltzer to come in. And again, our only agenda here, not like some of these places, some of these webinars trying to sell you something. We just want to serve. We just want to come in and add value. That's something that's in my heart. And that's why I'm really excited. I'm grateful to be part of this group now with Joe and Tony, and grateful to bring you guys value every single week. So I'll end it with, thank you so much, everybody, for being on our call today. It is Thursday, June 27th, and it is our very first episode of Ask the Experts coming to an end. And I'm looking forward to next week, where we're going to have another phenomenal expert and take some more of your questions. And we're just here to serve. So everybody have a blessed Thursday and a great weekend. I think that's a wrap. If Lily or Joe wants to end the live stream.
Yep, I got you. It was
cool.
so
Appreciate it.
There's like a wait, hold on.